Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Lead-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Okay, so today we are here with Lauren Bachmann, our hometown realtor. How are you today, Lauren?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about what your days look like. You've got a lot that you're juggling, don't you?
I do. I have an 11-year-old Ella. Zoe is 7, and baby Johnny will be 1 year on the 28th of December. So my day is pretty busy. I'm the first one up. I get coffee, breakfast going, struggle to get the girls dressed in their own clothes, not fighting over each other's clothes, and obviously get the baby fed at some point, get the girls to school, hopefully on time, usually ahead of the schedule, just because I can't deal with all the parents being there all at once. It drives me nuts. And then 2 days a week, my mother-in-law takes the baby, so I have free day to get work done and all of the errands done that I don't want to have to drag him around to.
And you're working.
Yeah.
And you're working. How do you juggle that?
It's interesting. I thought, 3's easy. I have 2 already, but having the age gap was really eye-opening. I was definitely not in the swing of things. It has been so long since I've been changing diapers and bottles and up in the middle of the night. So not only am I tired, but now I have another human to just manage all the time, which he's the sweetest, and he's super rambunctious, and my girls were very chill, so he keeps me on my toes. But it's been interesting going from 2 to 3, and I feel like I'm a little bit older now, and I thought I was just going to have it down packed, but it was like starting over.
I'll bet a lot of our listeners are thinking, okay, how do I balance a career and then also, being a mother? And that, that's a really tough thing to do sometimes, isn't it?
It is. I have to really prioritize, what is super important to get done that day and make sure that's first on my list, so that if anything falls by the wayside, at least it wasn't, top priority, like getting back to my clients or working on contracts or requests for repairs. Those are obviously things that are timely, so I make sure that those are the first things I tackle before I get on to other like house management type stuff that you just have to do day to day. But it's interesting realizing time management is very important, and I've always been a big to-do list kind of a girl. I write one every morning, but now I if I didn't have it in front of me, I would be completely lost, and I would feel like I don't know, I just wouldn't be accomplishing the things that I want to get done. So it's nice that my partner is super supportive and can tell when I've had a day that just defeated me and I didn't get the things done that I needed to. He'll definitely step in and let me have a moment to tackle those phone calls or get the things done that I just are really nagging at me.
And the real estate market.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy right now, isn't it?
It's intense. It's been intense. Yeah. The last year has been probably the roughest since I got into the industry. I think interest rates really killed people. Just seeing their mortgage payment at the end of the purchase, it's hard to take that on. And it for me, I'm not one to talk someone into an uncomfortable situation where, of course, it's always a great idea to purchase a home, but if it's going to put you in a state of constant panic, I won't be able to sleep at the end of the day knowing that you're going to struggle once you have that that home. So I find a really interesting dynamic in the industry where a lot of agents are killing it, but I'm just not one to talk someone into doing something that isn't right for them right now. And it's important for someone to make that decision when the timing is right. And if you're saving and doing all those things, as soon as interest rates do come down, which they're doing right now, it opens the door to a lot of opportunity for them to take advantage of that time.
Well, don't you think that empathetic and compassionate way of doing business, the way that you're talking about, brings them back at the end of the day? Because I think referrals are really important too in real estate.
My business is, I'd say 90% referral based. They're either friends or family or people that they've referred to me or repeat customers, because I've had, a couple of years in the business. So I've had some repeat clients, and a lot of them have sent their own friends and family my way. And that means everything to me because they saw that I put their interests first. I didn't pressure them. I hate the word salesperson. It is like cringing to me to hear that word. So I'm a relationship building person. And I know that if I treat them like a long lasting relationship in my life and understand what their needs are and whether the timing is right for them, that they'll come back to me when it is right. Because I'm really honest with people. I tell them I'll give you the good, bad, and ugly throughout every step of this transaction. And if this isn't the right time for you, we might have to have that conversation, and that's okay with me. So.
You're a home curator. I am. All right. So how do you measure success then? Because I don't think business always is 100% just, am I hitting the numbers that I want to hit?
Right.
Tell me what that looks like to you, success.
Yeah, especially in this industry where, there's always top producers. There's a lot of people that pay for that. Within a company, you get a lot of top producer awards. And to me, being a top producer, obviously there are numbers that I'd like to hit. But when times are tough, I try not to beat myself up too much and realize that if I have gotten several families into homes throughout the course of a year, that's success to me. If my family is fed, I have a roof over our heads, I'm keeping them in swim and tumbling and soccer and things are moving, then that's success to me. So I always think about that. Like, don't compare yourself to the top producers in the company because your life is different than theirs. And there's a lot of pressure to be at that same level. But I know that I can only do so much. And putting my family first is my biggest priority. And if I can't hit those numbers because I'm taking the time to be at kids soccer on Saturday versus doing the open house, I know that my kids will look back and appreciate that so much more than how many houses I sold in 2023.
So you grew up in Santee,
yes.
and you still sell in Santee.
Yes.
So tell me what that's like, kind of selling in your hometown.
Yeah, I love it. I born and raised in Santee. I was born in Starlight Circle. It's where all the Christmas lights are this time of year. And I love the community. I have so many friends that I met in elementary school and high school and time after PTA with my kids' school. It's just neat because you see everyone out at Costco or Vons or Target, especially Target. You run into so many people that you know, and then being able to work in the community and sell homes where I know these neighborhoods like the back of my hand, whether it was just cruising around when I was a kid or driving around with the kids now, I know it so well. And it's neat because I was able to participate in the Miss Santee program all those years ago, and then asked to come in, and I'm the program director now. So I've got my fingers in a lot of space in Santee, and it really makes me happy. I love it. My dad's super proud too.
I love that. So failures, I'm sure you've had some. Is there something you want to share with our listeners today about that?
Oh gosh, yeah. Failures. I feel like I have put a lot of weight in myself this year, just thinking I'm going to bounce back from having this baby and just kill it in the real estate game. But obviously with the market the way that it is, I did have to really prioritize my family and having the new baby. So I feel in a sense that I haven't hit all of the marks that I wanted to this year, but thankfully we're at the end of it. And I always think of January as such a fresh start. So I know that whenever I do fail, and I have failed many, many times throughout my life, that I bounce back and I land on my feet in such a better position than I could have imagined before that failure had happened. And I feel like failure kind of catapults me in the right direction when I'm least expecting it. It ends up better than I could have imagined.
Well, and you had a tough pregnancy too. Let's talk a bit about that, because, my goal is always to open up discussions that listeners may be able to apply to their lives.
Sure.
So talk a little bit about what you went through, if you don't mind, just kind of how difficult it was.
Yeah. So I was super excited to be expecting my third baby, Johnny, and we went into an appointment, and they called us into the doctor's office after the appointment and just said there are some things that are looking a little irregular. The placenta had gone through my uterus and looked like it was going into my my bladder. So I was already a high-risk pregnancy. I knew I was going to be having a C-section, but then a lot of conversation about things that were going to happen, leading up to his birth, and things that would have to take place after the fact. I was not planning on having more children, but the complications that I had really put the nail in the coffin. I ended up having to have a hysterectomy, but leading up to that, there was also a blood vessel that was showing up in his umbilical cord that if I had gone into labor and I was further than 30 minutes from the hospital, it was life-threatening to both the baby and I. So I started having a lot of contractions towards the end of November, and was going in to see my doctor. And I had planned a short vacation, not even a vacation, a camping trip up in the mountains up here. And they're like, not even 45 minutes. That's just too far. So we canceled that trip. And every day it was just like, okay, if I could just get to the baby shower, we'll get to the baby shower, and then whatever happens after that happens. And we knew that I was going to be in the hospital for at least the last 2 weeks of my pregnancy. Well, my contractions started even earlier and more frequently, and I ended up having to go in. It was December 13th last year. So that was really hard, having to leave the girls before Christmas. We knew it was going to happen, but seeing their faces when I left was just heartbreaking. I've never seen them that upset, and missing Christmas with them was horrible. The hospital stay was interesting. I went in COVID-free, and 4 days later, after being there, got COVID from one of the nurses. So we were on quarantine in a room, my then boyfriend, fiance, now husband, and so we were stuck in a room together with no visitors, not even anyone to really clean the room for 9 days. And we watched a lot of Harry Potter. Thank goodness it was Christmas, so Christmas movies really cheered me up. But getting through that experience together brought us just insanely close. And then, sure enough, just as planned, the baby stayed in until the 28th. We had a C-section, and I had a hysterectomy. My recovery was a lot longer than I expected, and emotionally just jarring, realizing that was the end of us having children. And then Johnny was in the hospital in the NICU for 14 additional days after we left. I was discharged on New Year's Eve, and he was there for 2 weeks after us. And so going back and forth between the house in Santee and the hospital in La Jolla was really hard on everyone, just because not only am I not sleeping because I miss him, and just thinking about him, getting up to pump in the middle of the night every 3 hours. We were not sleeping. The girls thankfully were with my mom a lot of the time, so we were getting a lot of help from family and friends, getting them to school and to the activities that they were still participating in. But being away from the baby was really hard, and just having to take that time to recover myself physically, but then also going back and forth, as often as we could, at least once a day, if not twice. It was a really traumatizing time to welcome him into the world, but we're through
And here
it.
you are 1 year later.
Yeah.
And you've gotten back to work. You've got the family unit together.
Yeah.
You got married.
Yes.
You had a big year this
Yeah.
year, Lauren. You had a big year. So let's talk a little bit about balancing work responsibilities and home responsibilities, because it isn't easy. And especially, what you've just been through. And I think that was important because, again, I want our listeners to hear about something that they could possibly relate to as well.
Right.
Because it really does give others hope when they're going through tough things. So tell us, what does that balance look like? I mean, it's got to be tough sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard, especially I'm a huge perfectionist. My house has to be in order for me to feel any sense of calm. So, I do work from home a lot now that the baby's here. I go into the office maybe once or twice a week, on those Mondays and Tuesdays when I have the baby at my mother-in-law's. So it's tough. I know that like I said, Mondays and Wednesdays are my days to really tackle business and do the things that I know I need to do without the babies distracting me. And then being at home, it's insanely hard for me to not look at any clutter or the laundry that needs to be done and just step aside from it. So it is a lot about compartmentalizing. I do try to meditate as often as I can, because that definitely clears the clutter of my mind and gives me a second to breathe and realize everything is fine. It doesn't matter how the house looks as long as everyone's happy and healthy. And I know that these things that I have to tackle are within my power. So I think understanding what is within my power and what I can accomplish in a single day, that I can't do it all, is really empowering, just because if I do feel like I'm starting to get overwhelmed, that can be really draining. So making time for myself to just take a minute to breathe helps me reset and get back on track to finish out what I need to do.
So let's talk a little bit about selling the American dream.
Yeah.
The selling a new home. What is your favorite? Is it first time buyers? Is it like repeat buyers? What do you like to sell?
I love first time buyers. It's really neat to see them realizing that this is something that can come to fruition and that they worked so hard to make this happen and it's really taking place. I also really love, and I know my mom, I love interior design. I love going into people's houses ahead of them getting their listing ready and, giving them a list of projects to tackle that will make the house sell quicker. Obviously, having huge curb appeal is great, but you also need to make the interior feel really inviting. So I love going in and helping sellers, have a list of things to do that will actually make them money, and avoid them doing things that they think will add value to their home and then end up really not doing anything at all. So I really appreciate sellers that get ahead of the game and come in having me identify where to declutter or where to paint or carpet that needs to be tackled, because those things really matter to a buyer. It's their first home and you want it to look really, bright and shiny and new for them. I also love to host the open houses because I always say it's like having a party and you never know who's showing up. Yeah. So my favorite lender, Francie Payton, I always have her there with me and she is a blast. So we have a great time talking to people. She really gets me to open up and have conversation that you wouldn't necessarily think of having because she's in the financial realm of things. And I don't like to discuss the finances for people. That's her ballpark. I let her stick to that. But we always have music going. I usually have a taco bar and it's just a really fun environment for us to, get to know new potential clients in.
So you're moving them in mentally for the Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we say. This is like a party for them to see what it's like to entertain in this house because they're seeing, how the space works when you're hosting anywhere from 15 to one of our open houses, we had 300 people through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Wow.
So you can see how the space fits that many people.
Yeah. So let's talk about lessons learned that you would like to share with other young women, as far as, what they might be able to apply to their lives and careers.
Sure. So one of the things that I'm really fortunate to be able to do right now, the broker for Mission Realty Group, he moved out to Texas and he needed a boots on the ground agent to be here to mentor agents on his team. So I have a lot of these conversations with the agents on our team and agents that have been on our team in the past. Being able to carve out the time to focus on work, whether it is the 2 days a week that you can really fully sit down and say, these are my hours from Monday and Wednesday, I'm getting this done, or whatever those days of the week might be, taking the time to spend looking at where you should be spending your time. We're huge on doing community events. So whether it's networking or going to ribbon cuttings to meet businesses, I also think that having the ability to look a little critically upon yourself and say, this is where I failed this week and this is where I need to spend my time. So we do something called a greatness tracker, and gauging where you're spending your time. Like if I'm spending all my time at networking events and not talking to prospective clients, that's really fun. But I didn't get any business because I didn't spend time talking to prospective buyers and sellers. So it helps you look at where you can devote your time. So having something to gauge what activities you're doing and what is actually giving you business. One of the things that I saw for myself was doing open houses is where I got a majority of my clients when I first started as a realtor. So that's where I like to spend a lot of my time when I'm not busy with the kiddos. So it's helpful to have something that gauges what's giving you results at the end of the day.
And you do a lot of social media too.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about how that has evolved in real estate.
Yeah, so I've always been on Instagram since Ella was a baby, and would always post pictures of her. Obviously, she's adorable, and Zoe, of course. But then when I got into real estate, I realized this is something that I can do, I also say consistency is key. So every single Monday, I do a Motivation Monday post, and it doesn't matter what mood I'm in or how I'm feeling like the week is going to go. I look for something that speaks to me and I know can reach someone else in a really positive way. Just starting your week with something that's uplifting and pushing you in the right direction. I've also started doing weekly updates for the East County market, and I feel like that's really helped because it's eye-opening to see how quickly things can fluctuate in the real estate market. But we also have an amazing assistant that makes really fun holiday posts, or if it's National Taco Day, I have a fun one with tacos all over my dress. That's my favorite. But she's also done some great ones where May the 4th be with you, and here I am, Princess Leia, in front of a starship. So it's really fun for me because I have her input, but then I use Canva a lot on my own posts because it gives me a second. If I'm at school drop off or pickup and I'm just sitting in line waiting, I have a second, I can throw something into Canva and put something on Instagram that has my branding and it looks like me. So I've seen a lot of change. If you look back at my Instagram page, you can see, where I started in Canva and how things are looking now. But I think that it's really fun because people get to see my personality, and we talk in our team about how do you want to brand yourself. And
what is your brand?
I like to be relatable. I'm a mother, and I like to be really funny. So I like to use humor wherever I can. And so my personal page is a little bit more humorous than my business page, but I still try to work humor into my business when I can. But it's a lot of information that you're also trying to share. I have done videos in the past, and I definitely want to get back to doing those because I think people can see my personality come through a lot more than just seeing an infographic of here's some numbers from the week. So I like I said, there's always room for improvement, and I'm always trying to see where I can, plug in a little bit more here and there.
Well, and I think real estate too, having that personal touch and still being your authentic self is really important.
Yes.
Because most people, they want to buy a house. They want to know that you're competent. You're going to keep them, updated on everything that's happening in the market. So they're getting a good value. They're buying the most expensive property, the most expensive purchase of their lives.
Right.
I think it's important that they also have a little bit of fun at it.
Oh, yeah.
Can't be all boring and stuffy and all of that.
It can't. And there's so many wild stories that you accumulate over the years in real estate that I love sharing with my clients, because I'm like, you'll never guess what happened on this one showing. And this is why we knock. This is why we do this.
Right.
So it's really... It's fun because you do get to know people on such a personal level. You obviously when you meet them face to face on the first, buyer consultation or listing appointment, it's very number driven, and this is what it looks like. This is the process. These are my teammates. I have a transaction coordinator, and going through that whole spiel. So after that, and the ice is broken, especially when you're seeing each other and talking to each other day in and day out, you really have such a fun rapport with each other. And I ended up calling like one of my most recent listings. I was like, we're going to be besties. We're just going to talk 24/7 until this thing is sold. So if you hear from me and it's 9:00 at night, you don't have to get back to me. And same, I might not get back to you, but we're going to be in constant contact, and we'll be best friends by the time this is over.
Holding their hand.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's just say you walk into a room of these young women leaders or the wannabe leaders, and what would you say to them as your advice and your next steps?
I would say trust your gut. I think that believing that when you feel like you're being redirected, it's only the universe telling you that there's a better direction for you out there than you're currently on. Trusting that you have the courage to take anything new on, and knowing that if you have the right team of people around you supporting you and loving you along the way, it's really possible to do anything.
Oh, very good advice. So what's next for you this year?
Oh, goodness.
Kind of a rebuilding year.
It is. I have a couple of buyers that are getting off the fence with rates coming down. I have a new listing coming soon. Like I said, I'm really going to try to get back into my videos on my social media just so that I can get more front facing with my clients and my followers. I have a lot of friends and family that, love to comment on things and say, you're such a goofball. I can't believe you did that. But I can't wait to get back into that after the holidays, obviously. I'm looking forward to taking some time off to really focus on the kids in the next week or two. And then after that, I think it's just, I really want to crush 2024. I had to focus on my family so heavily the last 2 years between the pregnancy and then bringing the new baby into our world and then planning a wedding. Obviously, I'm thankful to have a lot of that personal stuff behind me, and I'm just looking forward to making this year really impactful for myself and my clients.
And just kind of going back to that for a minute, I think it's important, an important part of the message of sometimes you do need to focus on the family.
Right.
And it's okay. And sometimes you just need to take that time, do what you need to do, and then you can get back on track.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. Really appreciate you speaking today to us and talking a little bit about balancing all of it, because it is definitely tough, and especially some of the things that you've gone through.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Thank you.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learn how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host Rebecca Jones.